and welcome to Swedbank Seedtalks. My name is Davis and I will be your host for tonight. I would say this is quite a special edition of Swedbank Seedtalks, as we have gathered audience online watching us on Facebook live stream, and we have a great company here as well gathered in Tech Hub Riga Startup House. And we wanted to create this event here today because recently Swedbank opened the second co-creation space, and yeah, we wanted to have this event here as well. And I invite you all to participate in the event by contributing to the content and the panel discussion that will take place afterwards. So prepare your questions. Tonight we will shed some light on the existing options for higher and alternative education in the region, the future of education system in Latvia, and expected changes and what needs to be done to nurture a competitive and ambitious environment. The first presentation will be presented by Greitens, who is an expert in digital transformation and innovation. And I would say he's one of the key forces for Swedbank's development, as years ago he was the one who envisioned how digital the bank would be as you see it today. And he has also spent 7 years contributing to Latvia's educational system as a board member of Iespēju Misija. And without further ado, I would love to invite with warm welcome here Greitens. Thank you very much.
Today's subject is education, purpose of education. I thought, what should I tell today? How should I give context for this? And then I turned to my favorite thinking subject. It's fourth industrial revolution, very modern topic. But fourth industrial revolution, one of potential outcomes, because we are living in fourth industrial revolution, it's times when machines start to take over thinking jobs, and machines start to step into first line of jobs, and humans are starting to help machines which are working in first line. And then it's a question, what is left for humans? Because first two industrial revolutions took over mechanical jobs, now second two are taking over thinking jobs, so what is left for humanity? And I think one big area and potentially growing area is creativity. It's innovations. It's making difference. So, and then I thought that yes, I need to talk today about making difference. And making difference not alone, myself or my company, but making difference together. Because I believe making difference together is the only way how humans will survive in not fight, but as well maybe together with machines. But to understand what is happening in future or what will happen in future, obviously you need to turn to the past, and then you can start to see some trends and where things are evolving. And I will turn to the past. I will start with this girl. This girl, yeah, she lived some time ago. It was October 28th, year 1820, 200 years ago. So we know exact day and exact girl. Her name was Carolina Bernardina Hammardal. As you have guessed probably, she is from Sweden. And on that particular day, she was standing in a small queue outside the building. Sorry, my Swedish friends, Västra Hamngaten 15 in Göteborg, and together with her brother and father. And on that particular day, she brought 12 shilling money to the bank. And it was the first bank which was savings bank which was open in Sweden. It was huge innovation. And today, you know, this bank is Swedbank. So this girl basically was, and it is historical fact, was first customer of Swedbank, and her brother was the second. And really, savings bank, a bank or institution which allows people to save money, to earn interest on that, and as well for community to lend money, was huge innovation at that time. As well, this innovation was not invented in Sweden. Actually, idea was borrowed from Scotland. And by the way, bank was not founded by Swedish man. It was founded by German merchant. His name was Edward Ludendorff. And by the way, he did not borrow this idea himself. It was actually year 1818, where a Swedish nobleman discussed, you know, there is such idea, such a new invention in Scotland called Sparbanken, and we need to send somebody to learn what is this. And then one person was sent to Scotland to learn. He learned, and in year 1819 he published article, and this intelligence on so-called savings banks. So that was the name of the article. And then obviously Swedish noblemen continued to discuss what to do with this great idea. But this German merchant just did it. So he took idea and put it through. And then as well, I thought that why Göteborg? And I think this is as well a particular interesting thing that, as we know, Göteborg was founded in 1621. And to make it grow fast, Swedish king invited his loyal friends from Scotland and Germany to settle there, to make foundations. So Göteborg was international city, was a city making things together from early days. And I think it's not by accident that this invention called savings bank happened in Göteborg. And by the way, this same king was for the same time our king. Yeah, Riga was, or Stockholm was the second biggest city in Sweden at those times, because Riga was as well in Sweden, and Riga was bigger. And by the way, I think one big invention or big innovation, let's say, so not invention, innovation, what Swedes did to Riga is still present here and has even Swedish name. It's called Swedish Gates, because what Swedes did in 1698, they did gates in old fortification, and basically let Riga to expand beyond old fortification. They let Riga to connect to external world, let the first industrial revolution into Riga. And today we know Riga is a modern city, a bit maybe behind Stockholm, but soon we will catch up. So far about first industrial revolution. Then year 1967. This is a thing what you could probably recognize. You have used it for some time, I believe, not anymore, but it's a thing called bankomat. Yeah, and it was called bankomat at those times. Because it was put in Sweden. Also, this was not exactly the first ATM machine in Europe, because UK was first for 1 week. So 1 week was missed. However, Swedes did it in a way how we understand it today, because they from the first day used card with magnetic stripe. So it was mag stripe enabled ATM, while UK used these paper cards with dots and tried to use that as identification, which expired very soon. So Swedes leapfrog for innovations how to operate this machine. However, at that time, I think it can happen only in Sweden, because these machines, they were not connected. Okay, first it was one machine, so no problem. But when there were a couple of machines and more machines, so technically customer could go around and take during the day, so we know how to do it. But if society is honest enough, this thing is working. So it was an early test of trust as well from customers to bank and vice versa, so I believe so. Today we have protection system called online, and all transactions are reflected online, and no way to take it twice or even more. Then some 25 years later, a first card was issued in Latvia. 1992, first card was issued in Latvia, and 1 year later, me myself joined the banking system in Latvia. So I joined the card department in this very particular bank who issued the first card. And then 3 years later, Mr. Aldis Greitens, who is here, he hired me to bank, which was called then Hansa Bank Latvia, to lead card department. Because I was experienced, I knew almost everything for 3 years. I gathered huge knowledge and was experienced manager to lead the whole card department, 2 persons besides me, so we were big force. But yes, we did, I think some revolutionary things. We were fintech at that time. We were rebels. We strived for really unique things. Because we were not number one by that time. We needed to show the difference, and basically we did the difference. But okay, let's skip time wheel a bit forward. And this was, I think, or is still quintessence of of third industrial revolution. It's using those connected machines and starting to think, yeah, but how about giving access to those machines to the customer? So we called it the Internet Bank. And yeah, Hansa Bank was not the first bank in Latvia who offered Internet Bank. There was another bank, but which is not alive anymore. But definitely we did it better, I'm sure. But okay, it's not so important. We just used it, this idea of connected machines, giving access to customers. But thing was that, yeah, we were pretty much alone. We did it on our own ideas, on our own forces, and we made it happen. Next thing, I think, big thing what we did, it was mobile bank. Mobile bank at that time based on SMS transmission, because smartphones were not yet invented. Steve Jobs was ousted of Apple, I think, at that time, so he came back later. But one particular thing with this innovation was that, as you can see, a guy who is on a picture, he is CEO of Latvian mobile telephone. So yes, we invented this thing under hood in our bank, but to make it fly, to make it happen, we needed partner. We needed LMT to roll it out, to allow those messages to go, and so this innovation was done together. You can guess what is the next big step. Obviously, I already mentioned this is a smartphone, and we used the opportunity to do application on this smartphone. So we did our innovation on platform by Apple, by Google. So something has changed. And now the most recent big thing, and I think most appreciated by customers, is this, when almost any device can become as a payment device. So your watch, your phone itself, so you don't need anymore those cards and ATMs which used to play so big role before. And here, thing is even deeper. We did not build only with own platform with Apple, but we did it together with Apple. We were testing this solution with Apple. So 2 big customer companies did things together. What happened? Yeah, let's go back to Sweden. So that was about our region, but things happen obviously in Sweden as well. And some things really interesting. Year 2012 actually gave start for 2 great innovations of Swedbank. One is called BART. So as you can see from a picture, these were QR-based payments, QR code-based payments, actually before this Tencent and those Chinese payments. So Swedbank did it. And the second innovation, but Swedbank was initially pretty much alone with that. And the second thing what happened as well in 2012, Swedbank together with other major players in Sweden created service called Swish. It's person-to-person money transfers. And it became and is today as a market standard. It's even a name, Swish Me Money. Yeah, so instead of giving cash or trying some other way of payment, you just simply swish to another person and it works immediately, flawlessly. Today, yes, it's great success of Swish, and unfortunately, BART was rolled down. And there are probably a couple of reasons, but I think one of main reasons, at least in my books, is that we tried to do it alone. It was so hard to establish it as a market standard. We tried to maybe have this uniqueness, but we were not big enough. Also, we are rather big bank. So being alone, even with great innovation, sometimes kills innovation as such. So going ahead, coming back to Baltics, some things happened as well recently. Learned from those examples of Swish and actually identification method called in Sweden called Bank ID. We invited Bank ID coming to Baltics, but unfortunately decision was not made and need was here, so we pulled together our efforts, us, SEB and two other banks. 4 banks started initiative which ended up in a service which is called today Smart ID. And as you can see on a picture, 3 smiling guys, one from Swedbank, one from SEB, and one from Certification Center, launching same authentication service for all 3 markets at that time for 2 banks. Today, if you look at Smart ID page, only in Estonia you can account 23 users or companies from financial sector, and the list is very long from others. And as a consequence, we can enable such services as you can use Swedbank mobile app to access if you have accounts in SEB. So suddenly, those used to be proprietary channels of banks suddenly are open because we are sharing the same authentication tools. And obviously some directives are making some standards. So what is happening? Transformation is happening. And Davis mentioned that I'm expert in transformation, but honestly, word transformation is one word what I don't like, because usually it is abused and people just say that, oh, let's do transformation. Transformation is high in our agenda, but not saying from where to where, because there could be really different interpretations. I think traditionally we understand transformation like that. We are moving from analog to digitalized solution. Yes, it was early days or later days of third industrial revolution, where we gave customers self-service capability, so we digitalized old service, and instead of coming to the branch, you can do payments yourself. However, with the fourth industrial revolution, there is one more transformation coming, and it is when services are not digitalized, but when they are born digital. And the example of Apple Pay and Swedbank is just hinting what is happening here. It is modularizing services, and it is actually merging customer meetings, not having customer going from one interface to another, from one provider to another, but let's look how we can do things together. And I think quintessence of fourth industrial revolution is here. It's first, it's a platform business model is coming, and platforms is when you need to strive for two things. You need to strive for capabilities and connectivity. You need to create capabilities or services and connect to places where customers are, not anymore waiting that customers are coming to your even digital interface. And second thing, this is innovation in my thinking. That another word what I don't like anymore, it's called Omni Channels. Yeah, Omni Channels. It was multi-channels and Omni Channels, but still presuming that you are controlling all interfaces or all places where customers are meeting you. But now, if customer is using Apple Pay, is Swedbank really controlling Apple? Not so much, I think, to be honest. So we need to give a name for this meeting place where it's our customer, but it could be many service providers meeting at the same meeting spot. And so I thought about this example of Schrödinger's cat, like he's alive and not alive, so it's our meeting and it's not our meeting. So I thought that we can call it quantum channels. So let's introduce today a new word, it's quantum channels, after Omni Channels. And what this transition means, it means that if we move from analog to digital, we move from, yes, physical service to self-service, to invisible service, to embedded. We don't think that the customers really love to do payments. Yes, it's convenient to do payments on app, but your dream would be that payments are just happening. You just use things and payments are happening. Yes, you have to have control over your spendings. You need to understand where your money is going and especially where it's coming and so on. But moment of payment, moment of checkout at shop, I don't know who is really enjoying it. So, and it's possible already today to do this invisible service. But it's done only when you blend those experiences together. You are moving from exclusive service, so I am creating innovation and try to protect it, to creating innovation but opening standards and using it together, to partnering. And another thing which is changing, its competition is turning into competition. It's times when we do things together, not only us and some other industry company, it's us and even our competitor are joining forces and looking how we can create something which is beneficial for both of us and especially for our common customers. And this is as well this new capitalism 2.0, when we are moving from this shareholder capitalism to stakeholder capitalism, from concept when we try to create product and then by means of product extract value from customers towards creating value together and then sharing this newly created output. So only way to go ahead and be successful now in this fourth industrial revolution is to innovate. And innovate, what to innovate, how to innovate together, and why to innovate, to make difference. And another thing for innovations, yeah, I had some moral trauma some years ago when I was appointed to draw some white paper on innovations, and I thought, oh, let's create innovation department, and innovation department was created, but it did not succeed because it was first it was alone. This whole organization was innovative, but maybe not so as this department. And another thing, this department lacked purpose. So innovations can work, or difference can be made only if there is a purpose. And we can innovate together for people who are those late adopters, especially in COVID times. So we got persons who are maybe not born with swiping screens. So how do they feel? How they recognize some attempts to steal their money or fool them? How about creating cutting friction for businesses, just to eliminate this checkout and make customers more happy, or innovate just for free time, because if banking and other services become invisible, so we believe that there will be much more free time. And yes, that's why we try to innovate. That's why Swedbank has those premises here in Startup House to innovate together. One more thing, a bit of theory now, finally. Yeah, so I thought that, yeah, but we were one type of company in 90s here in Baltics, or 1820 in Sweden, and definitely we are different company today. And what is the difference? And one difference, you can look what is the horizon of your innovation, how high you are flying above the sky. And we know from McKinsey famous horizons, there are 3 of them. It's horizon 1, when innovation is, let's say, with deployment within a couple of years, 2 to 5 years, it's a higher horizon, or it's very disruptive and it's beyond 5 years. And how to characterize, I think if you are really Horizon 3 company, and I believe this startup house is intended to be this Horizon 3 house, then you really need to be distinctive. You really need to stand out, and your difference has to be really different from other differences. If you are on Horizon 2, yes, you need to be different, but more like you need to be attractive. You can solve it by more attractive, more easy user interface. And usually things are very quickly moving from this Horizon 3 to Horizon 2, and obviously to Horizon 1. When you are innovating things which are, let's say, infrastructure level things. And differences on this picture are rather big. So different levels of risks, or risks what you can afford being on Horizon 3, or you have a huge regulatory burden if your service is deemed to be infrastructure level service in a country. One thing, if this Horizon 3 service is stopped for some time, or let's say, let's not say payments are stopped for some time, for some minutes or even some seconds, it can't be. And other factors as well, which differ. And my point here is that you must really recognize and understand on what horizon your company is, and what are those rules, what you should take into consideration when you are playing in one or another field. And why we have this community hubs like here in Riga and in Vilnius? It's obviously we are, I think, a company on Horizon 2 and closer maybe to Horizon 1, let's be honest, because we have a responsibility to run services for daily banking for many people, or majority of society. And we obviously cannot afford have such risk level as we had in early days. But we want that those who are on level or Horizon 3, they can connect to those customers of ours. And that's why we are here, to cut those differences. And take out maybe those borderlines in between, to have things together. So, and yeah, this is my last slide, the difference, how we make difference. Together we make difference, that's why we are here. And yeah, so powered by Swedbank. Thank you.
Thank you, Dirts. Thank you very much for the wonderful presentation, and we will see you just in a few minutes during the panel discussion. So I wanted to remind all the viewers online, please don't forget that you are able to ask any question you like, so we could try to answer them. And to continue, I wanted to say that technology is rapidly and fundamentally changing the way most people do their jobs, disrupting the nature of work and increasing the demand for the new kinds of digital skills. And investing in talent development is thus a critical element to ensure sustainable growth and to foster innovation. And next up, I would love to welcome our fantastic panel on learning for growth, the importance of investing in talent. where we'll be analyzing what needs to be done to avoid lack of skills and to prepare young professionals successfully. So let's welcome all the panelists with a round of applause. Aldis, Krists, Girts again, and Aiga. Please, welcome. And I'd like to welcome our moderator as well for the panel discussion, Maria Ruchevska, to kick off this discussion. Yeah, the floor is yours. Welcome.
Thank you. How are you feeling? Dirt, how are you feeling?
Oh, exhausted.
How do you feel about your keynote?
Could be better as always.
I like your judgment though.
It was first run for majority of the content, so I tested on this audience.
Okay, let's then afterwards hear what the audience has to say about it.
Yes, please, honest feedback.
But for now, let's move on. As Davis already mentioned, my name is Maria, and I have been in the tech industry for quite a while now. And during this time, I have been wearing many hats. Let's just put it that way. And there's written today, I'm a co-founder of Latvian IT TechChill, but today I would like to represent my one of the newest initiatives that me and my team has been doing. Just recently, we launched internally yet, but soon it will be also available externally. A new initiative that is mainly for companies on a high growth stage and also for innovation market leaders, where we are going to upskill companies and help them learn more about what market relevant skills are needed today to be competitive in the European global markets. So that's in short about me, and before we start moving into the main discussion of today, I would also like to hear a couple of intro words of all our beautiful and very insightful panelists. So let's start with you, Aiga.
Hello, my name is Aiga, and I'm wearing today two hats, but mainly I will wear the second one. So I'm Executive Director of Latvian IT Cluster, which is IT industry NGO, but my second hat for today is also a coordinator of upcoming initiative of European Digital Innovation Hubs. And this is an initiative how to invite, how to force, and how to lead small and medium enterprises to become more and more digital. So, and this will be also my passion for today.
Great, thank you so much. Aldis?
Hello, I'm Aldis Greitens. My position is I'm assistant professor in Riga Business School and also director of master programs, MBA programs. I have a few more positions in corporate governance, but that's not relevant today. And I'm teaching subjects like strategy, innovation management, corporate governance, and things like that.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Well,
Dirts Berziņš.
Dirt is obviously very well known already by now,
Yeah, very
so
well.
no need for further introduction.
Yes.
Krist.
Yeah, hi, Chris here. Day job is a tech company where I run our transformation initiative, sort of trying to bridge business and technology and make it work together. Then, yeah, a few other hats. I'm also part-time faculty teaching in a business school, SSC Riga. Bit of involvement in Oracle Ventures, Accelerator Fund, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, great. I think this is a pretty nice crowd. Let's give it a round of applause to all of them. Yeah, so to give you a bit of a brief of where we are kind of going with this discussion. So I think it's not a secret to anyone here that for a longer time now the European labor market has been sending clear signals about where we are going in terms of getting more and more digitalized in every way of the kind of way of we live, including business, including personal lives, and so forth. Thus, we are seeing more and more new vacancies that are being opened every day on a European global level that will simply not be able to fill in in the nearest future due to the fact that we are lacking the skills. And I'm just not talking about some advanced digital skills, but I'm also talking about some basic digital literacy skills. And I think knowing this fact, obviously we should act, and if we want to have more smart companies and innovative companies forming in Latvia soon, and furthermore, we want our growth stage startup and companies to scale more rapidly, we need to put in place some kind of support mechanisms and initiatives that would accelerate this type of a growth that we need. And therefore we have all come together today to kind of understand what we have today, what type of initiatives are already in place, and maybe what are the ones that we still need to implement in order to make sure that we are serving the needs of the digital market that is out there. So my first question and kind of like the first topic where we are going to head will be directed mainly in the higher education system and also probably in the middle stage. So all this, as you come from the education systems industry in general, would you please explain and kind of give your opinion of what is the current situation when it comes to the programs? Are they up to date enough to be able to facilitate these next generation professionals for us?
Well, obviously I cannot speak about all universities in Latvia, not talking about Europe. So there are programs and there are programs. Certainly there are programs which are up to date and there are programs which are not up to date. Do they generate enough specialists? I don't know. Just this week, it turns out this week actually I'm lecturing to postgraduate students. That means to adult people in their late 20s and early 30s, which already work in industry. They are specialists, sometimes even middle managers. They are coming from industry, certainly. And just yesterday, in one of such audiences, I asked, actually I tried to provoke them, and it worked out, by the way. Can you tell me what's digital transformation?
Mm-hmm. A very good question.
Excuse me?
I think it's a very good question, and every person literally has a different answer.
Who believes me that there was someone able to answer me on that question? Nobody. You're right. Well, then I ask the next question. How many programmers a company needs to make digital transformation? What percentage of employees should be programmers? There was some guessworking, 10%, something like that, but no real answer. And it's also, believe me, it's a really difficult question. So basically, I can tell, I think I can tell, what the industry needs. And probably I can tell what the high school education can do in this regard. And if you make me hungry enough, I also can comment if that system is able to do that. But basically, if we are talking about digital transformation, then we are talking not about making processes digital. Mm-hmm. We are talking about making digital processes. Mm-hmm. And I think you feel the difference there. And since I've been building quite a few processes in my life, I even started a bit earlier than Greitens. And we've built quite a few things together, but that was last century, end of last century. Basically, when you are building a process, quite a few competences of the company are involved there. For instance, if you are building a process in a bank, then, well, marketing is involved, obviously, first-line persons are involved, lawyers are involved. It's difficult to name all of them. Yeah? And to make that process digital, not to digitize that process, but to make that process digital, all those competencies should understand something in digital. So basically, here we come to I'm coming to the answer of the question, what the high school system should do. High school system should bring digital skills to any profession, any course, what's taught in the university.
What do you understand by digital skills in this sense?
Well, by digital skills, certainly some programming skills, certainly understanding how IT works. And basically, you know, IT is a very wide thing, and you know the system architects cannot program, and programmers cannot make system architecture, and so on and so on. But basically, those people should understand basically IT in philosophical way, yeah. And I've heard, I'm not sure, but actually I've been told when I was visiting a respective directorate who is in charge of IT development in the European Union in Brussels, I've been told that in China, high schools, universities are bringing programming or IT classes to every profession they are teaching.
So how far are we from this?
Well,
I know that you guys are probably going to those ministry sessions and like, yes, we will do this, yes,
again,
this is important.
It depends on a high school. In the Riga Business School, actually, we have already second batch of bachelors in IT leadership, where exactly the thing is that we are not teaching programmers, we are not teaching IT them, but we are preparing managers which know IT. Mm-hmm. So we are probably much closer than any other high school in Latvia. But then should I comment about the university system in Latvia, probably you noticed that main focus of universities of Latvia right now is on the independence from everything, including industries. And I don't want to comment further on.
Well, I think it's a legit point, and Chris, you have also quite deep understanding of how universities work because you have had experience before in one. So can you comment from your end? What do you see has changed so far? Let's say when we look back like 3 years ago and to what is now.
Okay, so I guess first of all, I don't think higher education should solve anything. I think it's not fit for that. So I'm going to tell you a bit of longer story, sorry for that. So I just walked down the memory lane of what kind of skills I've been hiring for the last 5 years each year. What has been like the #1 skill I'm trying to hire that particular year. And 4 years ago, I went to my HR partner, and I think they're listening today, so hi. Not going to try to, I'm going to try not to say something that I have to regret. So 4 years ago, I went to my HR partner and said, so I need a team of service designers. And we didn't have any designer at the time in the company, and they were like, okay, who are they? Where did they live? So half a year later, I went to them and said, well, now I need a team of data scientists. Okay. Half a year later, so now I need a team of AI bot trainers. What exactly? Half a year later, so now I need 2 teams of Scrum Masters and Product Owners and large-scale Agile coaches. Like, okay, like, take step by step, right? So what I want to say with this is technology is just changing so fast, and companies are changing culture so fast, and so on and so forth. So I once had a discussion with one university, and I sort of explained them my needs. So, okay, this is my sort of hiring list for the last 3 years, and they said like, yeah, data scientists. So in a year's time, we can get you a short program, 3 semesters, in 2.5 years, no time, you're going to get the team. I'm like, no, I need them like in 4 weeks. So there's just too much of time lag. So I think higher education has a place and space to help people to get the fundamentals, train them how to think. And then we need to look at sort of different styles and types of educations that can re-qualify people somewhere in 3 to 6 months. And that's what, for example, Google is doing with their developer certifications. And I think we should be less talking about how can we get more data scientists in 5 years down the road, and more should be talking about how we can get more non-tech people into working in tech environment. And I have a few great examples from last half year. Two of the best hires I've had who are for Scrum Master roles and essentially large-scale IT program management. And when I say large-scale, I'm talking about 15 teams, 200 developers, ballpark. Both of them came from HR. None had any IT experience whatsoever. And when with one of them, I had the first discussion about, she was thinking to switch the roles and so on and so forth. I said, well, we have this big IT program and you're good with people. We have a lot of teams there. We need someone who can really get this, not a team, not a crowd, like a tribe of people working together coherently. And she said, like, well, I don't know anything about what they're talking about. So I said, well, let's figure out a plan for the next 3 months, how you can learn the basics of their language, and so you can get started. And you know, half a year later, she's just doing amazing. And I think that's what we need to do. We need to look how we can help more T-shaped, get more T-shaped people, and help them to grow into new roles, something like every 2 years, and do that in like a few months' time. And yeah, that's I guess not really classical education we're talking about here. Sorry, that was like an essay.
No, it's fine, it's fine. We were just about to move to alternative education initiatives in general. So basically what you just described was some of the process that you have done at TED, right? And IGA here represents a kind of big IT cluster of Latvian companies in the technology and innovation sector. So have you had a similar experience when you are discussing this with your members?
So when discussing with members, yes, the experience is quite similar, but I would like still to go some steps back and refer to all these statements about education and about the overall situation we are facing now. And before this this discussion, so when we talked to Maria, and she said, okay, I would like that you give some perspective, maybe a little bit from official point of view.
Mm-hmm.
And when we speak with officials from Latvia, from EU, from Commission, so always and everyone is referring to so-called DESI index, which stands for Digital Economy and Society Index. And it is referred a lot and quoted a lot. And when we look at the index, so we as Latvia, we are compared with other European countries in several aspects of digitalization. And our average mark is quite good. And in a couple of elements, we are even top 5 among all EU countries. Namely, this is connectivity, which stands for our mobile and internet networks. And the second, our top element is digital public services. Again, it stands for e-government, which compared to other EU countries is quite good. But there are 2 components that are rated very, very low. We are like bottom 5, among bottom 5 countries. And these 2 components are digital skills.
Mm.
And again, this means that our number of students is comparatively low, number of students in IT. We have very low basic digital skills in population. So basically, it's the scene is not very good. And so the other kind of under-evaluated component of this index for Latvia is how digital solutions are deployed in businesses. So that means the deployment is also very low. And I think it correlates quite good with the skills. So no skills, no deployment. And no deployment, no requirements for skills. So we are in kind of...
it's a chicken and egg problem.
Yes, we are stuck in this chicken egg dilemma. So companies, especially SMEs, and SMEs are 99% of all enterprises, not only in Latvia, but in Europe as well. And those companies are not able to do like TET does, like who are growing.
The good example.
Yeah, you are a good example, but not everyone is able to do this. And they even don't know what they need, and there is no skills among their employees. Employees don't feel any pressure to go and learn because their employer doesn't require it.
Yeah, I feel like if there is not common ground from like digital management point of view on digitalization or digital skills deployment benefits in general, and there are no support mechanisms in order to implement it, then we can't really talk about this. So, for example, like IT cluster, now you have you have quite a big challenge ahead of you. I think this is one of the things that you are going to do, right? So basically help SMEs and companies that are not that digitally advanced to hop on these breaks. And therefore, would you please explain a bit more in detail on what you are planning and how are you specifically going to achieve this goal?
So we were considering a lot and discussing internally a lot. So how can we break this chicken egg dilemma? So this is a never-ending loop. And if we look at what we have now, like also supported from the state, we see that there are quite a number of initiatives for vocational education. So there are lots of study programs at university where young people, older people, adults can learn technology. Mm-hmm. But that really doesn't make any impact. So that's a problem. Mm-hmm. So then we discovered that SMEs, especially in manufacturing, and I'm not referring to financial organizations or IT or ICT companies, because they are in quite a good situation. But I mean manufacturing. So they simply don't have this motivation to do it, and they don't know where to start. And this is also a question of digital transformation, and this is mostly a question of transformation, but less about digital. This is how to change their mindset, and this is a long-term process. And with a long-term mentoring, long-term facilitation of digital solution deployment or this digital transformation, nobody have worked yet. Mm. So we are the ones who are taking this initiative that we would like to try to do it. So, and the emphasis is on long-term.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so do you have already some kind of goals set on where do you imagine this program will take us in 5 years, say?
So we are planning to start the beginning of the next year, the first onboarding.
And then in 5 years, where do you want to get?
So our plans are to coach 150 SMEs mm-hmm. Per year.
Per year. Okay, great. Great. Will you have some kind of criteria who can fit or who will stay on the other side?
So I would say that the criteria will be the willingness and readiness to do it. And of course, we can give various tools and devote our time and our experts and teaching and matching with technology providers or skills and so on. But the main problem is how ready is a company to take this route, and how ready they are to also to devote their time and resources, because without it, nothing happens.
Yeah, well, obviously, motivation is always the key to every single good thing that has ever happened in the world we live in. Jirt, so from your perspective, you've been the head of digital transformation at Swedbank for quite a while now, and can you recall the first steps that you took once it all started to move faster? So take us back down the memory lane. What were you thinking back then, and what were you telling to your or like past employees that you were working this with?
Yeah, it's a good question. When it becomes faster, I think it's by years becomes slower and slower, but because we are moving, yes, from this Horizon 3 where we started to more closer to Horizon 1, where we need to have to double check, triple check, and so on things. But then we are working with companies which are extremely fast, and I think we are getting the speed exactly by this partnership with those companies to get the speed that a company like us alone will have. I don't know, light speed. No, it will not happen, and it's actually probably not needed. You have to have this balance. But it was really interesting discussion, and it provoked me as well some memory lane. And I remember times. It was in 90s, early 2000, when there was a statewide initiative supported by biggest companies called Latvian World, which was addressing those digital gaps of individuals to use, let's say, consumer type of technologies using PCs and so on. What I hear now is that probably we need something similar, but now for business, how we use digital in business. Because if we are speaking that, okay, we look at universities and then we need these technologies as a subject everywhere. We need to teach basics in universities, and then it somehow does not resonate. I think then it's too late. But, or however, today obviously there is this gap. Those companies who are out, and those businesses and professionals who are out, they have this gap. We need to find solution how we close this gap. But for generations which are coming in, I think universities will be too late. It's like teaching to read in universities. No, it has to be solved earlier. And with technologies as well, my thinking is that or skill set or competencies. I think a major thing when I'm recruiting persons, I'm looking more not so much on skills, yes, basic skills and experience and so on, but I'm looking on mindset, because I believe that the skills can be trained, or if person is curious. If person is not curious, if person is not empathetic enough towards things which are on the table for this particular role or customers, then it will not fly. Because I remember it 1997 when Internet Bank was born in Hansa Bank, but it was I was not behind it. I was behind cards at that time, so it's not. But I remember that we call it on business side. There were two girls, and very talented, very brave, and forward-looking, and so on. But one of them, actually, by her education, by her curriculum, she was a biologist. This particular faculty and specialty mushrooms. Yeah, okay, very traditional for Latvians. So mushroom specialist was behind invention or introduction of Internet Bank in Latvia, in Hansa Bank. So
very qualified.
How cooler it can go.
Chris, do you want to add?
Can we do a quick test here? So we're kind of in the IT crowd, right? So the people outside think that, yeah, you know all about technology, right? So let's see hands. How many of you think you're proficient Microsoft Office suite users? Okay.
No.
How many,
depends.
how many of you have gone the length and tried to use the Power Automate, this RPA pack that you have with your subscription to automate your routine tasks for yourself? Define routine tasks. Anything, like you get like RPA add-ons to your Office suite. So I see one hand using it, right? So, and I think this is a question of curiosity. It doesn't matter that like I know the basic IT or whatnot skills. Like the technology is developing so fast that you have to have this curiosity. Okay, there's a new release out. What's in the box, right? And I was like shocked. Like honestly, I found like a month ago that a standard Office 365 has a robotic process automation widget. I was like, wow, amazing! Like, where was I for last year or so? Yeah, it's. I think the question we should ask ourselves is how we can put more focus on getting pupils and the students, getting more curiosity in them, and getting this sort of lifelong learning, that they always pick up what's new and try to apply to their own daily life.
Okay, Chris, it seems like you have it all figured out, and like obviously the direction is very clear. This is where we are heading, or at least Chris is heading, and the rest of the people are like, yes, I want to be more like Chris here. But
you know, you could end this whole panel with like one sentence, because you asked like, okay, what do we need in the world to fix this? And it's simple, right? Your new program. Done.
Yes, growthschool.eu, everyone writes it down, soon will be launched. But anyways, let's get back to the topic. Yeah, so I think by now it's pretty clear that we are indeed in need of new alternative programs that are not only going to focus on kind of like the mindset switch from the management perspective, but also focus on getting people more curious and more ambitious when it comes to scaling products globally and creating more and more value-added innovations to it. So, and I think I know, and I think that RBS is also moving somewhere down the path. So Aldis, would you please give us a bit more insight on what you are planning as a university in terms of collaborating with different alternative programs? And I know you have already cooperation with Buffalo University, with MIT, if I'm right. But those are kind of like university type of partnerships. So first of all, take us through your university type of partnerships that are the programs you are most proud of, and then let's focus on the alternatives.
Okay. Actually, we are established by State University of New York at Buffalo and Ottawa University, and they are still curriculum sponsors for us. And actually, we are sending people to learn, to train, to be our faculty. Right now, I think 5 or 6 persons are overseas and training. We have also intentions to, since it's 21st century, and we have intentions to introduce a couple of MIT courses in our curriculum. And basically, we are actually changing our curriculum too, basically to adapt it more to the digital world. There are a few more ideas, but those are just ideas, and then probably I'll not discuss. And then actually, we launched very successfully, already almost 3 years ago, a program together with Latvian Investment and Development Agency. It's just called Mini MBA in Innovation Management and Leadership.
Which is a very well-respected program.
Actually today I spent the whole day there because today was the launch of the next fifth batch of that program, and basically what we are and the investment agencies are very, very proud of that we have in every batch we have 20 students on average. 3 to 4 business ideas students are working on. They take off, and that's quite a good rate. And actually, without any advertising, without anything, that program is oversubscribed. I think the last one was like 3 persons trying to get on one place. So we found together with the ALIA very good model. And we found a few more things, how to work on innovations, how industries can work on innovations. Probably I have no time to explain this, probably after the official part. If someone is interested, I can explain. Well, but basically our big idea is to get all the courses, are those bachelor courses or are those postgraduate courses to make them digital. In terms of
people being like getting access to our remote control there, or
no, basically by digital I mean that what I've told previously, basically everyone graduating from Riga Business School at some moment should be able to, let's say, to do digital transformation, to understand how to apply digital in its daily business, his or her daily business life. Yeah, basically we are refocusing back to process development and all kind of digital things. I mean, introducing them into learning process. Yeah, but then of course it will not change Latvia in the moment. Because we are a small school and we are expensive school, so number of students is limited, and then basically the learning time both in bachelor classes and also in postgraduate classes is 3 years.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Aiga?
So I'd like to echo a little bit all this. So my all-time favorite program from Riga Business School is IT Leadership Program. So, and I will explain why as well. So when we speak with companies who want to become more digital, who want to be more effective and use more technologies in their daily business processes, they always refer to the problems that they lack people who know their business, who know their internal processes. Either it's a brewery or it's a bread baking or whatever, and they know both technology, they understand technology. So those two skill sets are absolutely necessary for people who are now working nowadays in companies, in manufacturing companies. So, and we have basically two options. We teaching IT to business people or teach business to IT people. But the best way is to teach everything together from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this is what IT Leadership Program does. And it's a shame that it started only 2 years ago. And there are not so many students still in this program, but I think it will become better and better each year.
Yeah, but two things actually. One thing, it's still about money, because we have to pay.
All this is like, don't come to our program, it's really expensive.
Yeah, but it's you can see it publicly on the website. So.
The numbers are
Tuition
there.
fees, but basically to set up a program it costs money, and then Riga Business School is the school who lives on what it earns. And I cannot tell that we are terribly profitable enterprise. That's one thing. Another thing is, honestly to say, we have difficulties to fill in places in that class.
Mm-hmm.
We have really problems to fill in places in that class, and one of the main reasons is that we are asking not only for literacy, for school graduates who are literal, who can read and write, but we are also asking for some numeracy.
Mm.
Basically, they should know math. And I should say that actually seeing what's going on in our school, seeing what's going in Riga Technical University, numeracy is at terribly, terribly, terribly low level in this country. Yeah, basically we are people which, okay, I'm graduate engineer in robotics. From my point of view, people just don't know math in this country anymore. Yeah, and my feeling is still that digital is somehow related to math.
Because I think that the youngsters nowadays feel like Instagram and TikTok, they know all about it, so math is just kind of like left in the background.
Well, yeah. But
because it's easy to kind of have your place in the world.
Yeah, that thing, what happened overnight from March 12 to March 13, when the government told that basically everything should go online in this country, including the education. One of the lessons, and before today's presentation started, I already discussed this with Geertz, for younger people, digital nativity is a myth. Basically is a misunderstood. Those guys are good on social networks. But in the moment they are asked to download something and install on their computers and start using this like on Snap, they have problems.
Of course, a lot of people have, but let's focus on what we can do instead of like what problems do we have at the moment. So getting back to the point about these alternative programs that could help us teach our teams and companies more market relevant skills. So Dirts and Chris, I would like to hear your opinion about how easy. So first of all, have you had ever needed to do a pitch to your management in order to have your employees put in some upskilling programs? This is the first question, and then the second one will be, what was the pitch to the management team? Dirts.
Myself, I don't recall such a moment, so to be honest.
So then what is your approach at Swedbank to make sure that all the people are aligned and equipped with the necessary skill set?
Recruit right people with the right mindset, I think. No, obviously we have internal trainings, and as well we are from time to time sending people to advanced trainings, but I think, as we talked before, the main criteria is curiosity, and this curiosity, without curiosity, I think you will not able to survive in Swedbank. So it's thing which is called this corporate culture, and organizations of size like we are, it's people just fit in, and then it comes this, I think this continuous upgrading your skills is in DNA of our bank, otherwise we could not survive. We started with really branch network, and
Where do you get them? I mean, like, they come to you very well equipped, ready to the job.
I think it's physics. It's attracts. So I don't know. It's gravity. Gravity.
Okay, that's how physics work.
Yes.
Yes, but to follow up on this, so have you had a conversation with your hires about where do they usually get their kind of skill set? Have they had some kind of training, or is it usually just from the previous job experiences? Where do they kind of make sure
they just have it?
Okay, you haven't asked.
No.
Okay, Chris.
Yeah, I don't think it's just about gravity, but I think a good thing to start is, so we have a bit of internal joke, which is sort of called the George Clooney problem, and it works the following way. So I was just doing a hiring interview today, and like last week we rounded up like a specs, but like job ad for a business analyst in one specific program. The team put together initial requirements list, and it was something like in-depth knowledge of legacy networking systems, super agile mindset, knowing latest technologies, and X years of experience, and so on and so forth. So when you see like a job requirement like that, so we call it like the George Clooney problem. So the only person in the world who could fit the bill is George Clooney. We called him, he's out, so we don't have a candidate. So that's sort of being aware that you cannot get like the perfect people who know all about manufacturing, all about development, everything, right? They don't exist, at least not in real life. So what you ask yourself is, okay, we cannot get George Clooney. So who would be the next best local actor whom we could put on the big screen? And what are the skills we're missing, right? And sort of thinking through MVP approach, or like startup approach to people development. What is the sort of quickest time to market or quickest time to value so that we get those skills to fit that problem? And that's sort of the filter I'm trying to think through. Regarding the latest pitch, that was fairly simple. So 2 weeks from today, we're running a 3-day training for about 25 top managers from all fields of work, so HR, finance, and so on and so forth. And the course is about IT portfolio management. and 2/3 of that group are not related to IT. And the pitch was simple. So we had a challenge that we have so many things going on that people are having a hard time to follow. Okay, so what are all of our initiatives? How do we set priorities and so on and so forth? And at some point we said, oh, okay, well, we need to achieve this magic state where we have like so-called unified enterprise backlog, like perfect transparency, perfect transparent predictability, everything shipped on time, everyone's happy. So that's sort of the nirvana we want to get to. And of course, people often say it's IT problem, right? IT, you need to fix your house and put it in order. But it kind of takes everyone to chip in, and then the discussion was simple, right? We want to get there, and that requires everyone to be on the same page on how IT planning works. So we're going to do that if every single person in the room is going to take this class and be able to run an IT development planning yourself. So the HR director, CFO, and so on and so forth. So that was the pitch.
Nice.
And they said yes.
Wow, amazing.
One-
Just recalled something.
No. Not a pitch, but I have still trouble of one thought that are we not, this is a bit provocative, maybe I will not agree to this thought at the end, but still, are we not both here and in society and so on, exaggerating role of technology or need of technology skills? Yes, we have deficit, that's a problem. And are we not overkilling? Now we say that, oh, now we need to teach to everyone, and even levels are rather advanced. And my thought was that, okay, what if technology, everything would be perfect, we have everybody's literate and so on, but in medicine we would have like still medieval knowledge level, and suddenly there is a breakthrough in medicine, so it's modern medicine, and we are lacking specialists. So maybe at that situation we would say that, oh, we need to teach medicine for everyone, because we know that those who know this modern medicine, they are living healthier and longer and more happier and so on. So no. And question is, yes, maybe this is because this transition happened so fast, so we have lagging behind. And first, individuals, I think that is solved, everybody using some technology, but now question on businesses, and then on the level, how deep, yeah, so, yeah.
I think that the point what Chris was trying to make was that not everyone should obviously like learn how to do sprints, and but the management roles should, right? That was something that you were.
Well, they should understand the basics at least,
Yeah.
right? Not necessarily to code or whatever, but just figuring out how it works. Like I think Aldous said, understanding the sort of philosophy and foundations of technology.
So my favorite quote is that we live in the century where IT is not anymore IT people problem. So IT now is also the business owner and the business leader's problem as well. So they should be aware how to solve it and what to do about it. Okay, they probably shouldn't be able to program or to code, yeah, but they should be aware. So how everything is done and what can I do with this? What value can it bring for me?
Yeah, it's just about the mutual understanding between two managers and where we are going with this. Like, what is the goal? What are we trying to achieve, and so forth. So, Krista, another follow-up question to you. You have an experience of graduating Hyper Island. Can you tell us what is Hyper Island, first of all, and why did you attend it?
All right. Probably not too many of you know it here. It's a school that was founded in early 90s, and back then it was founded as digital skills only school, which is, it was kind of weird thinking in like 1994.
1994.
Something like that. So the fun thing is, it's kind of a school, but it's not officially university. So I actually got a diploma from Manchester. So Hyper, it's not an official university by itself. But essentially, it's a school for digital skills. And I took an MA program there in digital management. And you may ask, what is digital management? Like Aldis said, what is digital transformation? Like, who knows, right? But essentially, it was like a program of working on 6 projects around different topics. And that was sort of the learning part. So to give you an example, I had a module on business transformation run by a great lady who's, I think, associate partner at McKinsey, and we just worked with her on a real case study or a project. Or we had a program on technologies, and I thought that I know a lot about technologies. And then I met a guy called Joey MacLeod, and he used to be head of design at Nokia when Nokia was like the rocket ship. So he designed like the N series, E series, and the great things of the past of Nokia. And when you work with like real industry experts on real cases, it's just like a bit different, and I found myself in a bit mind-bending situations. So having this sort of embedded approach, I think, was super important. And I think the other part that was like super valuable in this whole hyper culture, as they also call it, the hyperwave, is reflection. So from learning theory, and I'm a bit of a fan of a bit old theory called Kolb's experiential learning theory. And he essentially says that you have to go through 4 experiences to learn something in full. And typically the one experience that we are missing out is reflection. So you can read theory, you can try it out, start experimenting with it, but you also have to sort of to reflect how this experience of what you learn, how it affects you as a personality. And without that sort of 4th element, you lose a lot of the skills that you have been listening to, and so on and so forth. And how it applies to learning process, while at Hyper, we literally had reflection sessions for breakfast, lunch, and dinner 3 times a day, right? You do something, and then you just reflect it with every meal. And it sounds a bit silly, but with the time, you start sort of getting it, that once you not just listen to something, not just do something, but you let it sink, then you're sort of much more capable of applying these insights and knowledge. So that's what I brought with me from that study is the importance of sort of this soft part in learning, reflections and feedback and so on and so forth, to really sink in what you've tried.
At first, yeah, I think at first it might kind of like seem a bit intimidating, because I have been there with these reflections, but I can promise you we all get by it.
And she's also making fun of me, and my team's also making fun of me when I call a team to get together, and they're like, yeah, it's Chris with his feedback and reflection time again.
Okay, reflection time, yeah. Yeah, so I think what Chris is trying to say, that one thing that we are indeed missing in the market at the moment is, at least in the Baltics, for sure there are definitely a lot of programs available on an international scale, but what we are missing is a community of people who would be able to kind of like nurture this knowledge transfer between practitioners. So practitioners with real business results, with real market relevant skill results that have been proved in either by working on an innovation or a product, or on a marketing scaling experience, and etc. So Aiga, you are going to be on the flagship of the next programs that are going to be for the companies. So are you going to focus on attracting professionals with experienced business results, or are you going to go some other way?
So we will work more on a basis of facilitation, like how to keep company going with the direction they have already chosen. So if company has made commitment that they will become more digital, so make sure that they are going through it like till the end. If it takes 1 year or 2 years or even 7 years, so we want to make sure that they will do it. So that's more, I would say that's more goes for soft skills, like how to facilitate this process.
And by like what type of people will you bring in order to make sure that things are happening?
So we will bring all kind of skills. So that means that we will have to match the necessary technical skills, so the necessary soft skills as well, because if we
for each and every company stage.
For each and every company stage. So yes, because we are speaking about change management, and this is lots of soft skills in it as well, not only technical. How to make sure that the company is changing, how to make sure that company changes its culture, and how processes are changing them. So how they are digitalizing their processes and making new digital projects as well. So this is...
Have you had a research? Probably you have. Have you analyzed some very good foreign initiatives that has already succeeded in what you are trying to do? And how are they going? Like, what are they doing in order to achieve the goals?
So I guess the problem is that all Europe is stuck into this problem. So nobody really knows how to do it. And that's why this is Europe-wide initiative. And we will learn from each other how to do it. And actually, I would even say that if we speak about addressing small and medium companies, we in Baltics, we even know better how to do it. For example, Germans, I guess they even don't know how to deal with small companies. So they have ABB, they have BMW, and all those big companies are making ecosystems around those big ones, but the small ones are left behind. So they don't know what to do about them. They can put big money, but yeah, you can do lots of things with putting big money, but that's not very economy-wise.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I think we are slowly moving down to the final kind of statements of the discussion. And for that, I would like each and every one of you to reflect on this discussion. So whenever someone is ready, I'm going to probably start with Chris because he's the most skilled one here. Yeah. So Chris, what is your reflection of this discussion?
So what happened? How do I feel about it? What are my takeaways?
Yes, that's the playbook.
We'll keep it short. I think my one takeaway is we've discussed about a lot of challenges, but I think we just should be more optimistic. And all of you were like super concerned today about the costs and everything. Yeah, I mean the world is not stopping, and I think in a very awkward way we live in a beautiful era for change, because the whole pandemic situation pushed so many companies to think about digital in over a weekend, and I think we have done already massive achievements compared to January or February. So I think the moment is there. So we just need to be a bit more aggressive and a bit more optimistic, and yeah, it's gonna work out.
Yay, millennial speaking. Woo! Okay, who's next?
I can continue. I think I would fully agree, and I'm optimistic because we live in a more and more connected world, and in different ways connected. And I think our fear is that due to some lack of skill, or so we are starting to fall behind. But as we are so connected, and as well from this physics, from this connected volumes and so on, I think we will help each other and pull or push and we will go through this transition. And as I said, I think at some point those technology gaps will solve itself. Some generation will start to have it as basics as reading hopefully much better mathematics and so on. But it will be, and then we will be still at university specializing, like, okay, we go deeper in some subject, and still it will be medicine, I believe. Still it will be law, what I unfortunately studied but did not finish, and I don't know about economics, maybe it will work itself, and so on. So there will be subjects. Technologies will, from now it's very hyped skill, it will go to basics. Yes, advanced things developing and so on. And one more thing which we did not touch today, I think this role of education, because of those machines stepping in, it will grow tremendously. And I've read somewhere that actually if you want to bet on something which happens in future where you would like to make big money, then it will be educational system. So not some commerce system. Times of commerce, digitalizing commerce or making commerce digital, it's a bit over. You should invest in Amazon probably. But if you would like to bet on something which will be in future, then it's probably something around education.
Thank you. Aldis?
Yeah, well, so I should represent something conservative, right? It's not that tragic. In fact, I'm just informed optimist. Actually, I'm experienced enough. Somehow, Geert already hinted that I'm probably the oldest person in the room. And since I was, and you understand that since I've been hiring him in the mid-90s, and I have a lot of experience, and that's probably I'm informed optimist. But basically, I've seen trends coming and going. And of course, digital transformation right now is trend, and it's a buzzword. And the buzzword will go, the transformation will remain, and it will happen. Anyway, do we want it or not? But it's our choice to do it consciously and to be front runner or follower. And it's about the time to make this choice. Yeah, but unfortunately, it doesn't depend only on me. It's society's choice. So, well, and I'm feeling a bit weird because I think I know what to do. Honestly, somewhere is my computer, and there is actually a draft of the digital transformation program. And I know how to do.
I know that program, I think.
Excuse me?
Yeah, I've heard of that program.
Yeah. But there are things which I still need to do it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Aldis. Aiga.
So I will stay with the thought that doing things alone is killing innovations, and I will add not only innovations, but also digital transformation and all other nice things that we discussed today. So my invite will be to do things together, do it cross-industry, do it cross-skills, cross-disciplinary, so do it together and do it in some ecosystem and partnerships.
Okay, well, my final kind of reflection will be that I'm pretty positive about the future, obviously. I should be, I'm a millennial as well. But I think that we should really invest in making sure that we have ambitious and global-minded, driven people, not only from the newest generations, but also we need to have the same type of thinking being kind of implemented in every step of the way of how we build our companies and how we transform those companies.
So when the sign-up opens for your new program?
In 3 weeks, hopefully. Anyways, thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate you joining us, and also appreciate the audience joining us, not only here on site, but also online. But before we go, actually, maybe there's someone who wants to ask a question. Yes.
Audience.
Yes, we have.
surprise.
I mean, like, we haven't had person events in a long time, so it's like, okay, let's wrap it up. But then I remembered that there are people.
Yeah, I missed the questions in these events. My question's actually more towards the two sides of having SMEs and larger of enterprises, and how do they have, because let me define it actually better. When we take a look at SMEs and also larger enterprises, yeah, companies are different, but having the ability to, wow, I actually have forgotten how to ask questions in real life because now you type them in and send them and it's fine. My question is, bigger companies have more capital, but at the same time, they at moments lack the speed of innovation with having smaller and medium-sized enterprises and SMEs having maybe not as much capital, but at the same time, they're smaller, they're more agile, they can move faster. What are the best practices of actually having this new digital deployment of different digital solutions in bigger types of companies, which sometimes require a lot of different cogs and things to actually move this innovation forward, and smaller ones that maybe are lacking in some sorts of capital or funding and maybe manpower. So how many programmers do we need actually to move this along? And what are the best practices from your sides and experience from both of these worlds? I hope you understand my question.
Okay, that was long. Do better next time. So, as I understand, two questions. So, what are the practices for small or medium-sized companies, like growth stage probably, and then the market leaders? You want to take this?
A quick one. By German definition of what is an SME and what is a big company, every single company in this country is a small company.
True.
Every single one. So we're talking about one category here.
Okay, but you want to take this?
Okay, so that's a whole essay you can write about this, but I think for bigger organizations it starts with, and that's another buzzword, culture. So essentially people are trained to do things in certain ways, right? If you operate a factory, people are trained to do things in certain order and certain time without mistakes, right? And suddenly you come into the factory and say, now we're going to do agile. We're going to do different iterations for different batches, and we don't make the same pasta anymore. Now each batch is going to be different, right? And what's happening, like people, you've been training people to operate under a certain way of working for like 10 years, and then you come in and say, no, we throw it out and we do it different. And if you don't start with people, with the way, like explaining them what you're doing, what's the rationale, what's the new attitude they need to have, it's just going to fall apart. And the tricky part is, and that was sort of, I think, one of my own mistakes I can reflect upon, it takes time to reset your culture. So, I've made this mistake of saying, okay, 2 months from now, we're going to do a big start of this massive program, and we're going to finish it in time, everything is going to be like perfect. And then at some point you understand it takes like at least half a year or maybe a full year to reset the mindsets of a few hundred people at a time. And you're like, probably should have added another year just for this part. So I guess that's the one suggestion how to go about it.
Anyone wants to add?
No, I would reflect to my keynote. It's very hard, loud to say, but we must, I think, distinguish in which of swim lanes your company is swimming. Is company running like infrastructure level of services, and then those innovations or things, what improvements or make difference, they are probably not so visible, because if you are swimming on the third horizon on this really disruptive thing, so you can fail more frequently, or you can fail more freely, and or many more will fail from Horizon 3. If you are running Horizon 1 thing or infrastructure level service, you are not allowed to fail. So here you will see different type of innovation, and most probably it's less visible to outside On third level, yes, you need, and the hardest is in the middle, so you are squeezed from both types of company. But it's for real. If you do not have service, which is infrastructure level of service, so in this ecosystem world, it's hard. No, infrastructure type of service makes you deserve place around the table, or you are running something very disruptive. If you are in the middle, you are just making interface slightly better. It's very hard to compete. And that's as well, we are closer as a bank, obviously, we are closer to this level 1. And if some disruptor comes and says that, oh, we have this idea, and we see that it's not exactly level 3, it's level 2 or even close to level 1, what's the point to partner?
Thank you. Okay, one last question and then we're out. One last.
I'm here to redeem myself.
Sure, sure. Feels like you haven't talked to anyone in a long while.
Sometimes it do feels like that. So from what niche where you feel well, now I can't read anymore. So what is the niche where you have felt or experienced the biggest demand, not only for people with digital and tech skills, but for the creation of these digital processes and digital transformation? I know it's a buzzword, but from your experiences, it's in many fields, but where do you actually feel the demand for these kind of processes and innovation? That's it.
So if I understand correctly, the question is which industry is in most need for digital transformation changes? Okay, apart from the fact that all.
Yeah, they're all, but from demand side, I'm trying to understand currently which are kind of these industries specifically, well, all of them, as you said, but from the experience, maybe what are some things that maybe have kind of
education, as I think Dirts already sketched in Aldis.
Well, education. Okay, actually, there is education and education. And I just know what's going on in Latvian universities, and the attitude and everything is different. Like, for instance, in the Riga Business School, we very consciously decided to go for the most difficult model of teaching students for hybrid, where part of the students are in a class and part of students are in online. Well, then I know that there are universities, there are high schools in Latvia which just said we are going analog. Just students have to come to classes and that's it. And then there are also, I know, high schools which are totally online. This is much simpler. But believe me or not, digital transformation in education is not about technology. Because you can buy cameras, you can buy interactive whiteboards, you can buy, well, actually hellish devices where 8 cameras are combined with 5 microphones and then things like that. But digital transformation actually here in this case means that if you are going online or if you are going hybrid, it's substantial change into teaching methodology. Basically that means that faculty cannot anymore drill the old slide sets. Yeah, it's basically before the forced digital transformation. I've never been writing scripts for the class. Right now I'm writing script for every class because basically the tricks and everything which I should do to compete first of all for screen time for those guys who are online. There are many more tricks, and I just am not able to keep them in mind. The one thing, and then if it goes combined, part of the people, part of students are present and part are somewhere, I don't know where, then it gets even more difficult. Yeah. And as Chris told, it's in this case, digital transformation actually is change of culture, and it's about change management. And do want people to change or do they not want to change? And that's in education. But then, actually, I cannot name industries, but I can hint where. Basically, complicated processes which require a lot of manpower and which are crucial for company existence. One example, for instance, which is surfacing with like tremendous power, is anti-money laundering processes in banks. They still are very poorly automated, and since that thing is becoming more and more, let's say not popular, but required, and it's substantial for banks' survival. And it involves a lot of brain power. That's one place, and basically there are, I think, a lot of this kind of process around in every industry. But basically, typically, brain power, complicated, huge number of transactions need for big capacity.
Mm-hmm. If around industries that where this transformation or this demand is now, there are two basically. It's still finances and in retail. This disruption is happening there now. If question is where it will be, so if you want to bet on something where transformation will only start, then one closest is obviously medicine or healthcare. But there is one more, and I had the luxury or opportunity to meet a person who was behind Booking.com. And he kind of exited of Booking.com, and he is preparing for transformation in another industry, and it's energy. So he believes that big disruption is still will happen there, but it is after healthcare. So healthcare is the next stop.
I would add to that that within a company, what I've seen is you typically look in two areas. One is look at the most boring and mundane parts of your company where no one wants to do your job. Because typically there would be a lot of manual activities that just can be automated. Like the least sexy parts of every company. And the other part would be where people are the most overloaded. And there's just too much going through too little people. And I think the AML KYC example could be one. I just filed KYC form myself today. It's a lengthy one. I had to call up my lawyer how to fill this or that, and I can imagine there's a person in the bank, going through my survey, my tick boxes, and doing some magic with it, and it takes quite a long time. And imagine this happens to quite a few people every day. So yeah, repetitive processes, a bit of boring jobs, because also, if you have a repetitive job and a boring job, no one wants to really work there, and you have a challenge of actually stopping those roles. So those are prime candidates to my mind.
Good.
So I wouldn't like to be the one who spoils the party, but let me give you some statistics. Only 5% of all Latvian companies are selling online. And there are hundreds and thousands of companies in Latvia who don't own their website. And if you also look through the directory, you will be amazed how many companies have their emails inbox.lv. So I would think that this is something where some transformation will happen. Yeah, no offense towards inbox. But if we return to the topic, then I would add, besides finance and all the other things that colleagues already said, manufacturing companies are looking to innovations in their manufacturing assembly lines, because this is boring. Employees are not very reliable many times, and also quality control.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, and thank you. So thank you all panelists for joining us. Thank you the audience here live in Tech Hub Riga and also online. This pretty much wraps our meetup today. So thank you.
Thank you very much. I I also wanted to personally thank again Maria, Aldis, Krists, Dirts, and Aiga for the knowledge you gave us today in the great panel discussion. And yeah, let's give a round of applause, also virtual applause. And yeah, thank you for all who came here and were watching online. Until the next time. Thanks.
Cool.